This is the fifth installment of the CheloniaCast, the foremost source of turtle knowledge on the internet. Today's episode is brought to you by Ken Wang from Georgia, Michael Skibsted from California, Jack Thompson from Delaware, and myself from Ohio. Today's guest is Viviana Ricardez, Vice President of Texas Turtles. Yeah, I guess that's that. Who wants to go with the first question?
Yeah, well, good job. We got we switched up there, but I like that. Yeah, I mean, we're super excited to have you on, Viviana. This has been when we compiled a guest list early on, kind of who we wanted to reach out to, and you and Carl were like top of the list, obviously, because you guys are just filled with stories and knowledge, and you know, working with Texas Turtles specifically, it's pretty interesting because I think there's not a lot of sort of groups like Texas Turtles that focus on a specific, pretty diverse assemblage of turtles. And you guys have really kind of delved into a specific aspect of turtles that's really interesting. And I think it really brings to light the amount of information you can get from even kind of a small area and still big, obviously. We're talking about Texas, but there's just so much that can be taken away. And you guys have done some really interesting work. But I guess sort of the first question that we always have is just why turtles for you specifically? It's cliche and everyone asks that, but I mean, we're always interested. Why? What got you into turtles?
Yeah, that's the $1,000,000 question, right, Michael? We've been asked that how many times at this point, and I'm a lot older than y'all. Make me feel really old today. But I've been asked that obviously since I was, 5, 6, 7 years old with anything, especially herpetology. People are just absolutely not sure, like, why are you picking up that snake or why are you jumping in and catching that turtle, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I wish I had a better answer other than it's this biophilia that so many of us have, and it starts off when you're little. Sometimes people get into it older, but I've just always been crazy about animals. Turtles, it happened just that one day, finding a turtle crossing the road, and I think it was a male red or slider, and that just was it. I was so fascinated with it, not in just like a cutesy way, which is really common when you're little and little kids like things that are cute, but just like, why is it here? Why does it have a shell? Where is it going? Why is it crossing this road? Why does it have long fingernails? Of course, because the one I found had, it had a long finger, so it was a male. Stuff like that I tried to figure out really young. And it was just always overall herpetology. And since, like I said, there was no social media, there was no internet, I had a bunch of books, went to bookstores with my dad all the time, and I had field guides, that's it. So I didn't get to dive into anything like I'm doing now in my adult life, but I was just obsessed. I didn't think and I didn't know that any of this was possible as a little kid. I had Steve Irwin, which we were obsessed with, and that everyone knows is like, oh yeah, that really got us into it. But I didn't know any of that was possible outside of a book, kind of, in a way, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's been strange. I wish I knew like this, but like I said, it was that first turtle that you find wondering, why is it doing this? Why does it look like this? Just that natural history stuff that I didn't know at 5, 6, 7 years old was called natural history until here much later in life and stuff. So, and then from there it was box turtles. We had a couple sliders that we found, definitely the baby redder sliders that we found, and redder sliders are here native to Texas. So I've always grown up loving them and not having any kind of like, angst with them. I've always been like, oh yeah, like we're cool because I've seen them. They were literally the gateway turtle for me and for a lot of other people, actually, even across the globe. Then I had like the ornate box turtle. My dad bought me an ornate box turtle because I really wanted a tortoise. And back here in the 90s in North Texas, they were like $20 for a female ornate, and they sold them at the pet store down the road for me. And so I got that, and then I wanted a male, bought a male, ornate box turtle, found turtles crossing the road. So I had a nice little group of 6 ornate and 3-toed box turtles as a kid. So that's it. And then I went to a few. My dad took me to a few reptile expos. That was the extent of what I knew herpetology kind of was. I knew it wasn't herpetology, and it wasn't even back then. It was neat to go to a reptile expo, but not the same as if I wanted to go play in the woods and flip rocks and stuff like that. So even really little, like we would go visit family in Mexico, and I was flipping rocks all the way up and down the mountain, trying not to get muddy and have my parents get mad at me because I was trying to, walk along the creek stream without getting dirty. So that's kind of, in a nutshell for a lot of us on getting into reptiles and turtles, especially.
That's pretty interesting. I didn't realize about the Mexico aspect. Did you ever? You must have found some cool stuff down there.
So my grandmother lives in the city. The only reptile story that I have from when I was a kid and, going to visit family in Mexico, I've got some family that lives in the country mountainsides, and my mom actually found a Mexican mud turtle, integrum, when she was there a few years ago, but I didn't find anything in the mountaintops in the outskirts of the town. I was playing with some friends across the street from my grandmother's house, and 2 boys like brought over these snakes trying to scare us because they think, okay, I'm gonna go scare the girls that were playing outside. And when one of the guys, I guess, tried to toss it on it, I grabbed it, and it was a ribbon snake. It was a Mexican, not a ribbon snake, a Mexican garter snake, and they were shocked that, 1, I wasn't afraid of it, and 2, that I knew what it was, because here's this American girl, down there for the summer, and they were just like, what is going on? But that also, Thamnophis is like a gateway reptile for a lot of people too. Ribbon snakes, garter snakes, that kind of stuff. So I noticed I noticed it was like had a bulge in its stomach. So as a little kid, I start like pushing on this bulge in its stomach, and out popped a baby garter snake. So it was like a female, and they had killed it because by this point they were like slinging it around and tossing it around and had killed this female garter snake. And that was when I first learned that there was like ovovivipary, or I didn't know what it was called, that some snakes gave live birth. So that was just literally an experience as a kid finding that out. So I came back to Texas wanting a pet ribbon snake, a pet garter snake, and stuff like that. So that was my first for like snakes and stuff like that.
That's really interesting. That's quite an experience. Yeah, I've always wanted to. I think I speak for most of us on here. Go and visit kind of the Central America and Mexico, in terms of just the chelonian diversity there, but everything else. And it's just tough right now, kind of the political era of things, to do that, I guess. But I feel like there's so much kind of undiscovered there. It's really unfortunate that the people there have to go through what's going on. And I mean, I don't know the extent of the issue necessarily because I haven't really experienced that, but it's got to be real tough. And the fact that, even biologists there, local biologists probably are pretty hindered in what they can do. It's pretty challenging. But I guess, shifting focus back to Texas, tell us a little bit about your work with Texas Turtles. I mean, it's such an interesting group and work that you guys do overall. Sort of, I guess, give us the rundown. We're curious.
Oh, let's see where to start. So Carl Franklin, who we all will have on later, and I'll say make a note if you want to talk about Latin American herps. And Carl's traveled Oaxaca, Venezuela. He did a lot of herpetology in Honduras. So Carl's really the one that's done a ton of Latin American herpetology in there. So save that for his thing, and he can tell you all kinds of really, really cool stuff on how to do stuff if you ever want to travel to these countries or places to see herps. I teamed up with Carl. I met Carl 2016, and I had known who he was for a while. Of course, have his book. Followed back then. Facebook was a thing. It was before the times of Instagram. So I followed his stuff for years, and then met, and we just so happened to live in the same part of Texas, like here in North Texas, DFW area, and it just became this conversing back and forth about turtles, why this, why that, and then I started helping him out at the museum, working, just anything from tying tags to sorting jars that kind of stuff. And I was hooked. I mean, the very first time he'll tell you that I was like in tears getting to see a herpetologist, a museum collection like the one that he worked. It's really, really, it was really incredible. So then things just started like happening, and I helped started kind of publishing, and he kind of taught me about, hey, here's a book, here's a snake hook, like here's some binoculars, go do this, go find this, buy this book. And it's kind of been history. We got our official nonprofit status in 2019 because we had talked back and forth of all this stuff that we were curious about, all this low-hanging fruit of the natural history and ecology of species here in Texas that no one has either done much work in or ventured down or really gotten deep in the weeds in. And it's kind of just been that. Obviously, as you know, long-term population studies are a big deal. A lot of work going on with macrocheles, with alligator snapping turtles. A lot of graptomy stuff that we really like. Stuff even with Encina or the pseudomys stuff. We just got all kinds of like things in our head that we think about constantly of like why this or that or stuff like that. So it's really been Carl came up with this quote to fill a Texas-sized hole because there's just a lot we still don't know. And he told me that, you know, he always thought he had to travel some far off countries like Latin America when he was younger. And there was so much in his own backyard. And there is so much in my own backyard, you know, growing up here in North Texas that we didn't know about or that we didn't really have a grasp on until, you know, we start really going down the line of all these species that we have. And we're really lucky. We got 35, 36 species of turtles. So we can go anywhere in the state and see 6-7 species in a day just from like, you know, bridge crossings and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm just really lucky. It's been really, really incredible, the work. And like I said, the publications we put out, got lots of publications that we put out last year, 5 big ones coming this year. It's been crazy. So yeah, a lot of it is just really ecology, natural history based and focused. Obviously the conservation aspect of it that we all have to worry about, as we know with this group of organisms. So yeah, that's kind of a quick rundown. If that answered your question.
I didn't know that you and Carl met like in 2016. I didn't know it was that like recent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had known who he was for a long time, and I just didn't, because I was fascinated that I'm like, wait, there's somebody else like me. I mean, as I got older and being totally by myself as far as love for turtles and reptiles, I was like, whoa, there's actually somebody that does this, you know. And it was very crazy, and I never expected to actually meet him, let alone teamed up and be running a nonprofit organization of just turtle stuff all day long and stuff. It's been very cool. But yeah, which I don't know if that me meeting Carl and then me meeting Michael happened shortly in the same time frame. I don't know if Skibsted wants to go into how I got to know, as we call little Skibsted, when he was real little.
Uh-oh, I'm getting put on the spot. I guess we've got some photos. I can pull these up.
I'll tell you the story of how like I remember it. I don't know if Michael can tell his version of how you remember it.
If I'm going to be terribly honest, a lot of that is, I think it might be kind of sad, but if that was like 5 or 6 years ago, a lot of that is very fuzzy in my memory already.
Well, I'll remember how I remember it. If you throw up the pictures, I'll tell your buddies here how I remember it.
Okay, so
you'll probably remember once I start talking.
Okay, so we will. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up some of these pictures that. So I just have to say that when I was reaching out to Viviana about coming on, she mentioned she had some pictures, and I thought, oh, it's gonna be pictures of Texas turtles, and then right before I got them, you said they were gonna be old pictures, and I thought, oh, immediately this is gonna be like Carl, like way back when, and I pull it up and I see. And you guys will see. I was, but this is good. This is good. I'm gonna make a new tab here so I can
the
share.
little Skibsted photos.
Yeah, but I think this is interesting. I mean, the story behind this is definitely, and honestly, I think we should get people should know about this project in particular. You know, let me see. I've got Windows on. Okay, so here we go. Actually, wait a sec. I mean, the photos are coming up on the back of my email here. I don't necessarily want people to be going through my messages. Well, you know that. Okay, well, it's all good. Is there anything on here that is case?
I had the same thing.
Let's see. I might be able to get him on this. Yeah, forget about it. We're all good. Oh my gosh, I'm all over the place here trying to get these things up. Okay. Sharing my screen. Gonna get this window. All right, so we've got a little series of photos here before we start talking about Texas. Well, we're talking about Texas turtles. This is probably good, maybe a good transition, but I'm not sure if you guys can see, but here's the first. Yeah, give us the rundown. I remember this, but
I'm not seeing it.
Oh.
Yeah, can't see.
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry. I've got whoever gave me host controls. There we go.
Yeah, what do you
There we go.
look, he's
There's little Skibsted.
There he is.
He's such a baby. You're doing your first pit tag.
I do remember this, and I remember that I was quite nervous the first time because I was like, and
You're
I've
about to
got
stab a turtle with a needle.
yeah, and it's interesting to. I mean, I think I've gotten decent at it. It doesn't really take much. You kind of learn how to do it, but it was definitely. I mean, it's just a testament to this group in particular. Like, if you have, I guess, the passion for it, then they're willing to foster that. And this wasn't just. I was being heavily supervised here, and I guess the ethics behind this is that we're using they're passive integrated transponders, so they're essentially like microchips, and this is for, I guess, Viviana, if you want to explain Komal, kind of what we're doing here.
Well, so this is another organization's long-term study, which is how kind of a bunch of us met and teamed up and stuff. And I remember it was February 2017, and here comes this little kid, like this whole group, and I was like, we're all like, oh my gosh, this is like, the youngest kid out here, and with this shirt and just like ready to go. And in fact, this is the most I've ever heard Michael talk, because whenever we would go to these events at these turtle samplings, like Michael was really little, so I don't remember him really talking a whole lot back in these days. But yeah, you were just, there's another picture of you looking at the tubs of turtles, and basically the volunteers at this would go out and collect. This one's for Jack.
I like this. Yeah, I like this picture.
So I got this one for you, and I have follow-up pictures for
yeah.
this as well. There's another one of you looking at the turtles, and I remember snapping that picture of just like, oh, there's your dad with the Texana.
Oh,
showing the red
Yeah.
legs of a Texana. That's how it looks like if a Texana bites you. We can get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, it's not comfortable. I'll say that for sure.
This is it. And this is like really how I found, when I walked up, how I found Michael looking at all these odoratus and all these buckets and bins as they were getting ready to be, processed and measured and marked and all that stuff and released. And then I remember talking to your mom, I think more than anyone back then, of course. And she said, oh gosh, it's so funny. And it was such a trip because I had just started, really working with Carl at this stage. In fact, those hoop nests back there, I think Carl had taken, they were in the van. I don't know if you remember the van.
I remember the van.
Yeah. And so your mom said something like, oh God. And this is the other part that I had a question that I was going to ask you. She said that there's a herpetologist or somebody that's going to be here, and Michael brought his book to get signed.
Okay.
Right? Do you remember this sort of?
I do actually.
Go grab it, and then and I'm like, and she's like, yeah, there's this guy, and I don't know if she said Carl Franklin or if I said Carl Franklin. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, he's laying in on the couch. Like Carl was taking a nap on that couch in the house, and I was like, I'll go get him. I was just bored. Then I'm like, how the heck does this little kid, like a baby to me from California, brings his book all this way for Carl to sign it? And I have a picture of Carl autographing his book. This was Carl's first book that he did. There you go. It says, what does it say? February 2017?
Yeah. Yep. 25 February 17. And he signed it in Spanish. I didn't realize that. Saludas y el gusto es más.
Saludos, and the gusto is, yeah. I don't know if he said the pleasure is mine, basically, something like that.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. Because he was like, I literally went, I'm like, dude, there's this kid from California here who wants you to sign his book. Like, I don't know what's going on. I was totally shocked.
I guess it is kind of trippy. I didn't even realize that. I guess it's sort of strange for someone from my area to get into it, but
I think I have a picture if you keep looking. No, here's another picture. This
one of those
cracked me
like
up.
diseased snappers or whatever.
Yeah, he's got an ice cream bar in his hand, and that's what cracked me up about that picture.
yeah,
Ice cream bar on the cement,
Look at him.
taking
Oh my
pictures
God.
of this. And it was a Turtle Room shirt from back then.
Yep. I still got that, but this was like the haircut there was post buzz cut for freshman football. That was fun. Yeah, but these snappers at this study site that you can learn more about, I guess, on the North American Freshwater Turtle Research Group, their website. They have this weird, they get these cutaneous kind of lesions. There's only so many at this site, which is kind of strange, but we were looking into that. That's why
it's a very weird thing for
I've
those
only
snappers.
seen
Okay,
old
there's
ones.
another.
Never heard of anyone finding a younger snapper there. It's always
There it
looked like
is,
they're
exactly. Look at that. There's Carl signing
Yeah.
Michael's book.
Look at him.
He's such a little, and you had like your wetsuit was like the short wetsuit. I don't know if you were freezing, but we were like, his kid has to be freezing because you only had like a short.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty small at that time, so I think I thermoregulated efficiently, I guess. But yeah, there you go. That's an iconic photo.
With an ice cream sandwich in your hand. I was like, what are you doing?
It's like a Renaissance painting.
There you go.
Someone could paint that. Look at the shape, though, of the snapping turtle. It's so strange. They don't even really like. It's kind of pear-shaped. I just kind of realized that. It's not even.
Snappers are weird. Their shells get so warped. I've seen them like weirder than that. That's
yeah. These
like,
guys are particularly just messed up, but I don't
look at the turtle's head. He's not looking good.
No, these things were pretty gnarly.
Oh, it's crazy. And yeah, the lesions on the head get massive. And I think we have an unofficial record for number of leeches because what you
I was about to bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of leeches. They're still packed away in here in ethanol, and I have yet to get around to counting them. They're all here. They're all numbered, but it's easily over 400 something, which is
off of a single turtle.
Oh yeah. And there's like a photo that Carl has of just like we're able just on the table, just this pile of leeches, which is something I'm gonna keep looking into and stuff. And it's fascinating to me. I don't know why the leech thing became so fascinating that I just got so interested in it and whatnot. But anyways, we'll continue on with a few more pictures because like I said, I put some pictures in here for there's that one.
I've seen this one. This is iconic.
This iconic photo. But
yeah, that's all that I have from there. So
I think I put in I might have did it, but yeah, I put in those megacephalic Odoratus for Jack.
we can go back to that and talk.
I can't get enough of those. Yeah, that's a very interesting topic to me.
Did you get the CT scans, Michael?
Oh no, I didn't.
Okay, let me send you those real quick.
I need to check that out.
I thought I sent them, but y'all keep talking and I'll pull up this.
Yeah. I guess we can just. I mean, we're good to stay where that is. I think.
Do what?
That location. That's pretty public.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Well, okay. You can learn if you're interested. You can learn more about this particular study on the North American Freshwater Turtle Research Group. They've got great citizen science programs, but this particular location, the turtles there are really unique. They're 4 species. It's in Texas, kind of I guess central Texas.
Considered Central Texas.
Central, okay. And there are 4 turtles in there that are native, but they're all really kind of interesting. The musk turtles in there get huge heads, which I know Jack wants to talk about, and we'll pull up some cool photos. I know what Viviana's thinking about sending here, but beyond that, the snapping turtles at this site, they get these really kind of expressed cutaneous lesions. We don't know why. They're also really lethargic. Snapping turtles, typically you don't want to really put your hand out in front of it because they can do some damage. But these ones, you can leave a hand hovering right in front of their face and they won't do anything. We don't know why that is. The leeches, they form these bundles around the heads, and it's ridiculous how many they get on there. But typically freshwater leeches, this might be surprising to some people, they're not really, not very, in terms of like carrying pathogens and transmitting pathogens, they're not really much of an issue. There's only a few cases where terrestrial leeches in Asia have been documented to potentially have transmitted pathogens, and in that case, who really knows? But so freshwater leeches are not really something that's, I guess, a vector for many diseases. Saltwater leeches is a whole different deal. That's the whole sea turtle fibropapilloma and that with the ozo branches. But freshwater leeches don't cause many issues. So we don't know. It's more likely these snappers are getting sick from something else, and then the leeches are colonizing on them. That was at least kind of the last consensus.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like easy pickings, for those guys.
But okay, so I'll check my thing here for
it's sent.
photos.
You should be getting it shortly.
I have them. Yep. Okay.
Because I think Jack asked me about these a while, and I was like in the field or like somewhere else, and I couldn't dig for them. And in fact, I asked Carl this morning before I jumped on. I said, "Hey, do you have those handy?" Because I couldn't find them digging for them at least quickly.
Yeah, I think
he knew where they were.
You mean the CT scan of the turtle's head? Is that, yeah, because that was really cool to see that.
I've sent you those. I did end up sending those to you.
Yeah, that was a while ago though. I remember that.
Yeah, I think these CT scans are just super dang cool, and we have them for baby AST, CT scans. Again, stuff that just like I really like, and I really get it too.
Who? I'll pull them up right now. But who did these? Like, what was that? I've noticed Carl. You guys seem to have a lot of them. Oh, okay.
Back when he was at UTA, and there was they could do some small amounts, and so he just tried to do a manette, just like one of everything, an adult, female, male, juvenile. Juveniles are obviously were the easiest that we have. We have baby ASTs like that, baby box turtles like that. Yeah, is that not freaking cool?
That's insane.
That is so insane.
Like, I always wonder, why is it so ridiculously extreme at that site? Like, there's plenty of other places where they have access to snails, and they don't ever. I've never seen any other population of common musk turtles with heads like that.
I think it definitely spills over in other parts of New Braunfels where all this is at. I think there's definitely going to be some spillover, but I haven't gone back. We haven't been down there in obviously a long time. We've been in East Texas a lot lately, so we've just haven't, gotten to do too much more in Central Texas until, we do have some stuff that's happening down there, but it's still a ways away. As y'all know, this is like, Texas is huge, so this is an easy, 5-something hours away from me. We're on the road tons.
Yeah, I always forget how large Texas is, because Delaware's like, you can drive up all the longest part of Delaware is only like a 2-hour drive, and it's like 40 minutes the width of the state at most. So
God, that's crazy. We can go 2 hours outside the radius of DFW and still be like in North Texas almost, like still be like we have to go past 2 hours to find different species, I guess, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, but with the musk turtles in general, I've noticed they seem to get the most exaggerated megacephaly when they're feeding on small snails, like the Alemia kind of snails, which that's what really abundant in the springs in Florida and a lot of colder streams and above the fall line where the striped neck musk turtles inhabit, and they all have megacephaly like this. But this is that's one of the only places I've seen common musk turtles that get crazy like that.
there's a publication on this, and she's on Instagram. I can send you a link. She's the one that did all the work on this. Maddie Morrison. I think I'll have to look up her Instagram, but she's the one, if you ever want to talk to like what she did and how she did it and stuff. And I remember that it's very cool, but she was the one that did all the stuff of looking through their droppings to see which invertebrates they were eating and all that stuff. So it's
I think I read that a while back.
Yeah, you probably read it. It's been out for a while.
They're feeding on like the native snails made up like a decent percentage of it, but then a lot of the invasives were like the majority of what they were feeding.
Yeah, those ram's horns are like massive snails. I got pictures of that from snorkeling underwater. It's really cool. But anyways, so those are there for Jack. I don't know if anybody else has a favorite species of turtle or just anything that gets y'all excited about.
The Comal our website name dropped. Well, we'll parse that out. Whatever. The musk turtles at that site are really interesting. I mean it's just really strange. The other thing about it too is how many there are. Like the population of the estimate there is about 14,000 in a pretty small section of river, and it certainly doesn't. It seems like there are a lot of them when you go out and catch them, but it doesn't necessarily seem like 14,000. But every time we go out for like 3 days, and you'll get 200, 250 plus, you'll find that many, and then most of them are new turtles. So when you do population analyses, you're doing a marker capture system, and then you can take that and analyze it. You create this capture history, and then you can subject that to different statistical analyses and get an estimate. And that it's come out there at about 14,000. It's pretty ridiculous in terms of the size for such a small area.
Yeah, it's a really, really neat site. I mean, it's kind of like how a lot of us came together and stuff, which is cool. But anyway, that's how I know little Skibsted when he was much, smaller 5 years ago, just getting into this as far as like, kind of your path into like the turtle world of craziness and everything that it is, and doing all the stuff you've accomplished in the last 5-6 years, right? I mean, like I said, that's how I remember when I saw you when you first came out to Texas.
Yeah, that was an awesome time. It was great too in terms of connections, and hopefully when COVID's all over, we can get all these guys out and we can all kind of meet up there, get some kind of new hands on deck and stuff.
Will it ever end?
What was that?
I was just saying, will COVID ever end?
I know. We've picked up. We've picked up quite done, like you said, doing our Texas Turtles actual surveys through us. Snapperpalooza. I don't know if you've seen those pictures. That turned out to be so stinking awesome. It was definitely just like we didn't expect to catch that many ASTs in a weekend. I'm sure we would caught more, like the more traps we deployed. But that's been a really cool thing, and we're gonna do that every May and September from here on out, pretty much. So that's gonna be open. I fill up already on the Snapperpalooza stuff because I'm getting emails constantly on, wanting to come out and help, and it's just gonna be one person at a time. I hate having to be like, we're capping it because there's just literally too many people. But let me know in the next couple years if y'all want to come to Snapperpalooza, that kind of stuff. It's turned out to be really, really incredible, and just an amazing group of volunteers and people that have teamed up and we're doing this stuff. It's been a really, really dang cool. I never imagined it. So
what's some of the stuff you guys are looking at when you do, because that's a research citizen science project, but what are you guys kind of analyzing?
So of course it's just our basic population stuff. We're going to be doing blood work. We're doing some help, with assistance from another university. Amazing biologist at the University of Houston, Clear Lake. She's just incredible. Doing some blood work with some help from other private organizations. Just a bunch of stuff like that, kind of anything and everything as far as what's going on in this said population of ASTs. Like we didn't know we were going to turn up so many in a day, weekend kind of situation, but it's been really incredible. So we've got that site. We've got another site where we did the coyote stuff with Brave Wilderness. We've got our AST site up here in North Texas. And we got another one coming, another AST site that we're kicking off. A much smaller group, because it's a private landowner, and it was just going to be kind of like a few of his close friends and us doing some stuff there. And yeah, that's been kind of the start of our major AST work and whatnot.
And I'm just curious, since we're talking about ASTs right now, I think I don't remember the exact weight of that turtle, but recently there was this record-breaking AST that was several hundred pounds in. None of us ever believed that an AST could possibly be that heavy. Was that did that come from your team, or
that
I may
came
be
from
mistaken?
some young men, some awesome, incredible young men out at Stephen F. Austin University. And it was just as exciting for me to watch it unfold on social media, because I do talk to one of the other young men kind of semi-frequently.
John, is that who you talk to?
Yes,
yeah, because I was talking to him for like months and before that, and he sent me the application to like be a part of that, but I couldn't do it. I was 17. I'm in high school, and I just wish I found a way, because they kept saying, "Oh, we're going to find." He said he was really hopeful we're going to find the biggest alligator snapping turtle on record, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know about that, because the biggest one I'd ever seen was a shell and skull at Pritchard's from the Swanny River."
The Swanny, that's the Swanny one, yeah.
Yeah, that just blew everything else out of the water, and I've never actually seen a wild one that was like proven to have weighed more than like 150 pounds or so. And then next thing you know, I don't talk to him for like a month, and I just see those pictures come up, and I lost my mind. I was like, "Are you serious?" Like, that was insane.
Jack sent me. I remember you sent me this. I think it was last year, and he sent me. He's like, "Dude, I just got this opportunity. We could go down for 3 months to go and work with snapping turtles, and you like live out of a tent, or you're working." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. When does it start and when does it run?"
Tomorrow.
He's like, it starts
it's like,
and it runs
yesterday.
for 3 months. So we got to go to school, but
I wish I found a way to do that, because I don't think there's been a publication, because I still can't find any actual measurements.
He's writing up y'all are all young men to me. He's writing it up, and he just finished his stuff, because we do have he is co-author on some one of these next publications coming out with Southeastern Naturalists that he's David is co-author on with us. So some of that, I think that's where he's writing up, because he's doing this. The other young man that's was leading it, that John was working with, he's finished all that stuff up. But that was exciting to watch, especially being here in Texas and knowing that there's these big ones out there. And I'm glad that they can hopefully continue to stay like that. And it's, poaching is the huge problem here. I think y'all have heard all the garbage that we have to deal with poaching coming to Texas and taking them out to Louisiana and stuff like that. So it was exciting to watch. I mean, I was really, really excited, because Carl and I follow. Carl's seen some big captivity. You'll have to ask him which aquarium or which person up in the northeast maybe that he saw like a 200-pound one, and we've caught 425. We've caught 2 that size, and at our site in Tarrant County here in North Texas, our biggest male is like 108. So, but still, they're huge, but not 211. Whatever it was that those young men caught. I was super exciting. I'm glad.
It's crazy that it was a wild turtle. Like, the captive ones get so dense and obese, and like they can weigh 250 pounds, but they're not actually that large. Like, the Carapace Length's not that big; they're just fat. But that turtle was clearly just massive. Like, the Carapace Length might have been more than the one at Pritchard's, which was 30 or 31 inches, and that thing was just. It was. I never thought that it really. There's something like that actually existed. I thought that, the 200-pound, all those anecdotal like evidence, that's all just from captive animals. I kind of seriously doubted I'd ever see one, at least today, that size. But I'm so glad I was wrong.
Oh yeah, it's amazing the stuff that's come out of, just like I said, low hanging fruit, stuff that's out there that's just waiting to be done. Just going out there and doing it, and it's really cool. It's super exciting, y'all. But yeah, I'm really happy for that group. They're super,
that's awesome.
super guys.
And it's interesting to note the drainages that these turtles came from. I think Jack, you said you saw a 150-pound one from Pritchard's collection. That was a
Yeah,
Swanny one, right?
that
Yeah,
one
yeah.
was.
So
Oh, sorry. Go on. I didn't mean to.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, the Swanny turtles from the Swanny drainage, they tend to grow very fast compared to alligator snappers from the other drainages. So, this record-breaking alligator snapper from Texas, I imagine not only is it very heavy, it must be very, very old as well to have grown to, to that size.
I agree with that. I've seen. Well, if you look at the pictures, you can tell it's a super old turtle. Like, its carapace is almost completely smooth, and it doesn't really have any growth annuli left. And just to be that size, it would have to be old. But that one from Pritchard's, there wasn't a weight on it, but just based on its carapace length and its skull width, it could have easily been more than like 150 pounds or closer to 200. It's far larger. Like all the rest like the FWC is actually caught in the Swanny. They don't even come close to that. And like the carapace length, and they'll weigh like 130 pounds, but they'll be like 27, 28 inches. That's still like 3-4 inches short of that one from the skull and shell that Pritchard has, which that turtle was once alive at this place called the Everglades Wonder Garden. Like they caught it in like 1970 up in the northern Swanny River, and then they just kept it for years. And somehow Pritchard ended up with the remains, but I can't find any live photos of it or if they ever actually weighed it when it was alive. So, yeah.
That turtle's a bit of an enigma too, because in terms of like work that's been done recently, no one has found a Swanny alligator snapping turtle even remotely really close to that size. I think that the largest ones they get in the surveys they've done is like 25, 26 inches, and then I think about 125 pounds. But that one, 31 inches is the second lot. Well, that one they just got in Texas is probably larger, I would guess, over the straight length of the shell. But that turtle's a bit of an enigma too, so it's pretty interesting. Like I think that there probably are more big Swanny alligator snappers out there. We just aren't looking necessarily maybe in the right spots. But
It's probably just difficult to capture them too.
But yeah, it seems like like Ken's saying, they seem to kind of grow faster, maybe more of a productive system, and less of kind of ancient turtles. I guess it's interesting.
The temperature might have something to do with that too. Like it's pretty much year round they can grow there, and I mean like even the upper Swanny is extremely. It's like a subtropical habitat. So, and then the lower Swanny, when you get spring input and everything, it's essentially a consistent habitat year round. So.
Yeah, a lot of a lot of factors contributing to that. Yeah, I mean, alligator snapping turtles are just fascinating. It's cool to see how Texas has really played sort of an integral role in now we've got the largest record from Texas. We've got a lot of data in terms of populations, and it wasn't even really well known that they really occurred in a large portion of the state until relatively recently. And a lot of sort of good data has come from that just in a short amount of time. But I guess I'm curious in terms of another group of turtles that are kind of well known from Texas, and you've even got a few endemics, the map turtles. What has your experience working with those been like, and what kind of research are you guys, our Texas turtles, kind of doing with that?
Sure. Yeah, map turtles are definitely a favorite of everyone's, right? It seems like everyone loves some graptomies. I really like our endemics. I really get excited over them, and anytime I feel like I'm going to do a talk, it's going to be like over the endemics, right? Michael's seen his fair share of Texana, Sumi's Texana, the Texas Cooter, big Sudanese, really pretty turtle, and then our Texas map turtles and our Kegels map turtles is our two endemics. Versa, I don't have a favorite, but man, the Texas map turtles and the Texas Kegels are just like nothing else. They are so pretty. They are so neat. They're so intricate in their detail. Their coloration is just incredible. They're just, I'm just get totally excited over them. So done some Versa stuff. Carl has some property out west of here, kind of like where West Texas kind of almost starts in Menard County, and he's seen tons of Versa. And when we stop in out there, there's just Versa all over the place. This past weekend, we traveled down to some counties south of here, and it was just rows and rows and rows of Versa basking. I think he posted those pictures on our Facebook and our Instagram.
At Texas Turtles.
Yeah, Texas Turtles Facebook group, because it's been around since before Facebook is what it is now, and before there was Instagram, and so we put everything also on our Instagram now, kind of copy it from Facebook. But it was just so many Versa, and it's so cool. And the females are huge, and the males are like this big. You know, the males stay super small, just crazy dimorphism with them. And then going down to the Kegels Map Turtles, which is the counties south of where the Versa occur. All these range maps are on our website and are pretty updated. You know, we have to constantly update them, and sometimes it just depends on when Carl gets around to it. But the range maps are pretty updated on our website. Kegels right now, a longtime friend of ours, of Carl's, who's known him forever, Professor Jesse Meek out at Tarleton is doing a population assessment on Kegels, and so of course we're helping him out. Peter Lindman's helping him out. Hopefully going to do some more of that this summer on catching Kegels. So this past summer we went out to this one area, and Joseph Fiorenza, who's just been incredible helping us this past year, he caught the first female Kegel map turtle of the trip, and it's so dang cool. They're just so really neat, especially Kegels being the map turtle that's kind of got this really small range. As even here in Texas, seeing them it's mind blowing. It's really a must. If y'all ever come to Texas, we'll take you and we'll go catch some Kegels. You know, they're protected in Texas, so we got to have permits and all that stuff, which we're all permitted for and stuff. But it's these two are really cool. And the Kegel's the most recently described one, like 1976. I have to check the website. If just as far as recently described map turtle, and for being one of our endemics. But yeah, that's our quick work with them, and like I said, hopefully more to come on the map turtle stuff. But yeah, that got kicked off this last year of getting out and getting to catch and mark, measure, weigh, pit tag, you know, of all this map turtle work.
That's cool work, especially with like Kegels map turtles. I saw a statistic somewhere that the rarest, I mean, when you start looking into population biology, you realize that putting rarity values on things is pretty challenging. But in terms of their range size, they're pretty limited. Although I've heard they can be pretty common in certain areas. But that's good work in terms of learning more about their population structure and kind of population parameters for that species.
There was a population study, if y'all look up the Killebrew study for Kegels map turtles, one done a couple of years, maybe it was already like 30, 40 years back, but Killebrew study did a little population assessment back years ago that I think they're going to try to, like, you know, go back and see if they catch any of those that were notched and whatnot, you know. So that's one for the literature to go look back at some point when y'all are bored.
That's pretty
cool.
And
like the musk turtles, do these Graptimus, these species, they also show megacephalic heads in these, you know, particular regions?
Great question. And I'm actually was kind of figuring out if I'm gonna lean into that. They are mesocephalic. So our Mississippi map turtles, so there's a wider range of Mississippi map turtles in Texas. Those females get a little more megacephalic, and the Graptimes and Versa get mesocephalic. So the females are still way bigger and have, you know, larger heads and really neat. The pictures are on our website. So the females are very distinct, and the males have a very much smaller head for eating these, you know, freshwater sponges and the caddis flies and the, you know, smaller invertebrates and stuff, as far as their diet preferences for like a male Kegels versus the females and liking all the, you know, oh my gosh, Corbicula and all those. I was like, and all that stuff. So yeah, they do. Females are definitely, again, still very dimorphic on head shape and mesocephaly versus.
They remind me of like the pulchra kind of clade, just like with
Right.
the true megacephalic map turtles, the really large ones, except that they're just way smaller in body size. That's very, and they still develop the large heads. And I thought what was interesting in reading Peter Lindemann's book was like in some populations, like I think it was the Kegels Map Turtle, it might have been the Texas, or both of them, they've almost entirely feed on corbicula in some areas. Like they've pretty much forsaken the native mollusks and just went right to the corbicula, which I've seen northerns do that and Mississippi maps do that. But what's odd about that is I've never heard of Barber's map turtles or some of the true megacephalics, which have the biggest and most powerful heads. They tend to stick right with the smallest, the small, really tough to crush snails seems to be what they're specialized for. But at least Versa and Kegeli are a little more adaptable with what they'll eat.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because, like, thankfully, where we're studying Kegel, where we're helping out with Kegel stuff, it's pretty easy-ish to go, you know, and you have our camera binoculars and see them. You know, even on a kind of we were there this past summer on a drizzly-ish, cool, drizzly, almost overcast day, and they were still out basking, which is really cool. But it's kind of an easy, not too hard of a one to go look for. But yeah, I knew when I was trying to come up with the word corbicula, Jack. It's like I heard you say it for me, and it came out of my mouth. Like, you know something? Yes, that. You knew what I was about to trying to say.
And corbicula is Asian clams for people that may not be aware.
Oh, yes.
No, you're good. I mean, that's something that people have to realize is turtle nerds, biology nerds, we typically just assume you kind of understand the crazy stuff that we talk about. But
yeah, one good. Yeah, they get big.
This is the biggest one. It's 1.5 inches. This is the biggest corbicula shell I've ever found.
Oh,
it doesn't look.
I'll have to send you pictures from this past weekend. I see them all over the place. I didn't even think about it. In fact, I picked some up. Yeah.
Hold up. Let me.
There you go.
See, the smaller one's normally what I see, but this one's huge. It's much bigger.
I'll have to ask my muscle nerd friends because I see tons of huge corbicula all the time, and it's just become, you know, the standard thing.
There's a stream by me where it has a super high density of common musk turtles, and in some areas the river, like it's just this little creek. Some areas the creek bed is just entirely corbicula shells. You can't see anything else. And the musk turtles there are feeding like heavily on them, and they develop pretty big heads. It's nothing like Comal, but it's much larger than the average musk turtle.
Yeah, it's pretty neat watching. I mean, we're able to permitted to hold ASTs for 3. We can hold anything we're studying for 3 days to see what it puts out. And mostly with our ASTs is where we've gotten the better, you know, sample of things they've eaten: bird feathers, pecans, you know, wild nuts, seeds, all that kind of stuff. And there's quite a few pictures of that on our social media of the stuff ASTs have pooped out. We did have a publication that just came out in this last herp review, speaking of mussels, where we found a zebra mussel. And zebra mussels are invasive to Texas, and I think in a lot of other parts of the U.S. We found one. We found a dead AST here in North Texas. Big old hook. There's actually the big old female. Carl made a YouTube video of him, like of us kind of cleaning it out, of it being rendered out and the bones and stuff. And we found a zebra mussel in it and published that in this past herp review, which is really neat because it's like I think it was just one, so it was just maybe some crazy like it got it in the midst of getting other bunching around, which is neat. So yeah, there's as somebody else was telling me, another longtime turtle nerd was saying that graptomes have been eating some zebra mussels as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if wherever there's invasive zebra mussels here that the graptomes are eating those as well.
And Viviana, you said you found bird feathers in the AST poop?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's very, very interesting.
Oh yeah, they eat anything.
Yeah. I know. I've read studies about, you know, common snapping turtles, and some of them in the northern populations, they actually eat a lot of waterfowl, and that kind of it actually in a way that's significant enough to affect, you know, waterfowl populations in residential ponds and the likes. I wonder if that's true for ASTs. I would doubt it because, you know, they don't like they don't project their neck out like common snapping turtles. I think that makes it difficult.
Somebody had another private landowner from other people said that they had an AST in their pond and the AST was eating all the ducks and the birds that came through, which I'm like, whatever, like AST's got to eat too, like I don't care what it's eating. I mean, Carl also published on a map turtle found in an AST, like a dead AST. So they'll eat anything. Oh, Carinatus, map turtles, birds. We don't know if the bird was alive or the bird was dead in the water. And they just he just scavenged or whatever. But none of that surprised me. They eat everything, and it's really neat. I don't think that it would really do that much of a damage on any, obviously people see, a snapping turtle taking down a duck and they get all in a tizzy. I mean, with average people not realizing how things work. Because we have had calls like that. It's like, oh, these turtles are eating all these birds. It's like, well, that's what they're supposed to do, and trying to inform them that that's normal. It's an okay thing. But yeah, they'll eat anything. It's really crazy. But yeah, it's been crazy, really neat working with seeing what they eat and stuff. So yeah, I'm sure there's more on our social media that Carl's posted of everything that we've documented them eating thus far. And some of that is published in like Ernst and Lovich and all that stuff. That stuff's been known for a while. The only different thing that we found was that zebra mussel. Yeah.
The common snappers are brutal. I've seen them kill anything up by the only thing they don't seem to prey a whole lot on is other turtles, because they don't seem to have the capacity to not as much as like alligator snapping turtles, which will just regularly plow through other turtles as if it's nothing. While the common snappers, I mean, they have a harder time crushing. Even a musk turtle is probably harder for a common snapper to crush than it is for an alligator snapper.
Right.
But
it's not worth it for them.
Oh yeah, but I watched one kill a baby duck in front of a bunch of people, like at a bridge, and everybody was freaking out. And I'm like, no, it's just this is there should no one interfere. This isn't anything. This isn't bad. I mean, I know it looks horrible, but it's just natural.
Yeah.
This is
what are the shots behind you, Jack? I'm like,
okay, yeah. So there's a lot behind me.
I'm just looking at what everybody's got behind them.
There's a saltwater crocodile right here. But
oh dang! Oh, how'd you score that? That's good, Florida.
Well, my grandfather got it in Australia like 40 years ago. So I actually have a lot of stuff from him, but I'll just go to this. I'll be quick with this so we don't take much time.
I want to ask everybody, so get ready.
That one up top, that's a peninsula cooter from
okay.
Both of these two are, but this one's about 14 inches. It's a huge one. Then this is a Florida red belly cooter and Nelsoni. Let me turn this a bit because there's more.
We have Nelsoni here in Texas now. I mean, they've established, they say there's an established population, but we haven't. I've just seen pictures.
These are two rubber ventris, the red belly cooters. This is a male, that's a female. This is a big female too. It's like 11 inches. And then these are common snappers, and this one was 14 inches.
Dang, that's cool.
It's actually this one's from Tampa.
I could tell that one a mile away. The common snapper.
Yeah,
I can tell that they were like Sudemizi-ish, but I can't see the detail.
Yeah,
it's so tiny.
Jack,
I have hundreds of other turtles, but I mean, if I can angle this right, you can kind of see the shelf.
Okay.
There's tons of other stuff there.
Is the cooter on the top the one that we got from in Florida?
Yeah, it's the big one is from Florida. It was killed by like a semi or something. But
we were visiting the Serpentarium in St. Cloud, I think it was, and they had it. It's just in the back, and I guess it passed away or something. I don't know. Yeah, and
this common snapper was huge. The skull is just about 6 inches, and so this would have come from like a really really large male, probably like one of the ones with like a 16 to 18 inch carapace.
That's so cool. That's a good one.
That's actually a random question. What's like the largest common snapper you've seen in Texas? Or like,
ours is just the Comal ones. Those are the biggest we've actually have weight and measurements to. Those guys are pretty heavy. I mean, like I said, I wrestled a lot of them pulling leeches off of them and just carrying them. Michael knows you've carried your share of. There's another picture I didn't send of you like sitting in the kitchen with like a common snapping turtle on your lap as I'm pulling off.
That.
Yeah.
That's just a normal day for him.
Exactly.
I remember you were getting so close. I was worried because I had this thing braced on my knee. You were trying to take blood. A lot of times with turtles, you'll take blood from the the tail. There's a vein that runs right there, and I was kind of worried because you were, I think, trying to stick it, and there were a few people that were moving around, and it was getting real close to that one was starting to get a little bit upset, and it was starting to get real close to shooting its neck out and nailing somebody in the shin or the kneecap. But that was definitely an interesting experience. I've told a lot of people, yeah, that's just a typical sitting in the kitchen with a large aggressive turtle on my knee.
Yeah. I've gotten so much taking blood off of turtles now is so much easier, Michael. I've gotten to where I'm like, boom, yes.
Trying to do anything.
Do what?
No, I was going to say when you're trying to do anything with common snapping turtles, you typically end up losing more blood than them. So.
Oh yeah, I've got some pretty awesome scars from Calidra, definitely. But it's easier to take blood off a big AST all day long.
I believe that 100%.
The best blood draw I got recently, it was off a male Mississippi map, so not very big, and it took me, a lot of careful patience in my kitchen here at home, pulling just another day, exactly like you said, another day in the kitchen doing something, blood draw or whatever it is. My sister comes over and she's like, is this a turtle cup or is this a human cup? Like, she doesn't touch the plastic. She's always concerned about, like, what did you use this for? So I have like the turtle plastics in the turtle room, that I use for turtle chores and stuff like that. But Jason, what do you got behind you? I see a tank.
I just have a couple of betta fish. My turtles are in the basement because I'm up on the second floor, so you can't really put like a couple 150-gallon Rubbermaids up here. Probably wouldn't be good for the house.
You said there's just bettas in there?
Yeah, just some betta fish. And the one down here, I've got a bunch of like pink ram's horn snails, and actually those are more interesting than the fish because they've the population or whatever, like the number of them kind of fluctuates, but right now there's like a whole bunch, and you get some that are like dime size too. They're just like neat looking pink snails. So
wow,
not a whole lot going on.
That's neat. Carl's got a betta fish that he just got recently, and I thought they were neat. I had a betta fish for like 3 years in college. They're really, really, really neat. Ken, what you got behind there?
I gotta actually have to run down to my garage and grab a massive collider shell that I want to show you.
Okay, we'll go to Michael then.
Go to Michael for now.
He showed me this. I'm jealous because one of the collider remains might not be particularly hard to get a hold of, but even to find. But it's so rare, so hard to find the remains of a huge one. And he's got the shell of one that was massive. I don't remember what he said. It was something. What was it, 17 inches, like a really big one. And the biggest one I've actually caught was in Delaware for me. It was we measured the carapace was it was exactly 18 inches, and I believe that turtle was every bit of 45, 50 pounds, but I didn't have anything to weigh it, and it was massive. I'd never seen anything like that before. They seem to be more consistently the biggest up here, but then again, some of the biggest ones I've ever seen are from Florida and Georgia, and but that area, what Grover told me this is out in Mississippi and that western part of the common snappers range. That seems to be where they average the smallest. He said he's never seen one bigger than 10 inches in Mississippi. But
neat.
Might have to do with the extreme dominance of the alligator snapping turtles out there. They take over every habitat while they're a little bit more limited in the eastern parts of their range.
And then we've heard that. Go ahead, Michael.
No, go ahead.
I don't remember what I was going to say about Calidra and ASTs. We've caught two in the same trap, ASTs and Calidra. And I remember hearing that too. You typically won't find overlap or whatever. And of course, there's seems to be a lot less, but that's still in the works. We're still going to have to see how that plays out as far as, trapping and data and what actually is. But just from the few years of catching it, catching the 2-in-1 is pretty cool. We've done that up here in our North Texas area.
I think they're they're the same family, but I think they're more divergent in their lifestyle and ecology than people would think. The alligator snapping turtles, it's not just a supersized common snapping turtle. It's, if anything, ecologically is more similar to a musk turtle in their feeding behaviors and the fact they'll specialize on mollusks and tough-shelled organisms, while common snappers don't really tend to specialize on anything. And
I think we did have some Calidra poop out a bunch of algae in one of our.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and in fact, I think the picture's on Facebook or something somewhere. But yeah, we've had that happen. It was really neat.
Yeah, in some areas, the alligator snapping turtles, they feed just as heavily on mollusks. Like if you were to, it's proportionally about the same as like some of the musk turtles feeding on snails. Like it's way less common out in the West for like whatever reason. There's probably less of a density of large mollusks and things. But in the eastern drainages, especially like the Apalachicola drainages, they'll feed almost exclusively on huge riverine mollusks, and their heads are really thick and their plates are expanded, and they just become these bulldog-looking things.
Yeah, it's pretty wild seeing them across the. Oh, Carl's text me.
Yeah, in a lot of places, the fish and waterfowl argument that they're causing issues is, I think it's just silly because they're part of a natural process that keeps kind of both in check. And if one of those things gets out of balance, then it's more to the humans are typically to blame there for altering that. So and like Jack says, and like you said, Viviana, I think that common snappers and alligator snappers they do have a very diverse diet, and they're not just strictly carnivores. So they're going to eat a lot of varied things, and it just kind of depends also where they are geographically. So people should be less worried, I think, about that and see it as more of a positive because it's helping kind of maintain that natural.
Yeah, we get a lot of every spring. We get emails or messages like that of like, I got too many turtles. Can someone come remove them? Can someone come relocate them? And we have to like, be like, this is how it is. Like, kind of, let them know it's okay. Like, you're not going to lose all your fish. If you have fish dying, it's something else. And birds pick off plenty of fish. Herons and egrets, as far as eating a lot of their fish or whatnot. But I think it's a total myth that people come up with these random, you've heard them all, these myths and these excuses of this and that at this point, and a lot of the same keeps getting turned around. Plinking is a big thing, or has been a big thing here, where people want to shoot everything. I think somebody else, isn't that insane?
Just like the most American thing, like you can imagine, like just some rednecks going out in their boat with like some beers, and it's like, oh, let's shoot some turtles off the logs. Like,
yeah,
how do you even fight that?
Yeah, it's the thing. Carl actually was doing some trapping somewhere. Where was it? I don't know if it was Menard. A private landowner says, yeah, he shot a big female soft shell and then kind of saw it just sink. And this blood came up. And the guy kind of was like, afterwards, and Carl started working and trapping that area, this guy, Carl actually found the soft shell, like with this damaged hole in her. Or it healed up, which is crazy. But the guy actually was like, oh, dang, like I didn't even realize until he kind of saw it, and Carl caught it, and she was like, well, this is her, It's interesting. It's very interesting. But hopefully that can keep going away as a culture thing. I don't, people want to shoot anything. Stick with them,
An interesting perspective. This is going to be controversial, but like I think a lot of people that don't have respect for turtles and just natural resources are not thinking long term in terms of the things we can learn from them. I was reading a paper recently. This is obviously it's going to be something that's controversial, and I'm not sure about kind of the efficacy of this particular paper, but it just highlights the fact that we have a lot to learn. Their researchers were looking at these soft shell peptides that they introduced intercellularly in gastric cancer cells, and the peptides actually upregulated and downregulated different sections of microRNAs, which are like these little short regions of expressed DNA. They become kind of like an RNA, but a small RNA that has a functional effect on sort of on cancer suppression and different cancer related kind of oncogene pathways. And so it's just kind of an interesting thing that potentially these turtles could hold some secrets to this. So, it's like, it's hard to say that kind of research. I take that with a grain of salt because a lot of that comes from people that are a little bit biased in terms of this. And there is kind of this cultural in a lot of places that turtles must help with cancer and these kind of issues. I'm not going to support mass killing and this ideology without any backup. But if there's actually kind of valid research behind some of it, and it came from soft shells. So people that are going out there, that's kind of where my logical connection there was that people just going out and aimlessly killing things are really a detriment to all of us, because we really could be kind of hindering our understanding in a lot of ways. So
I made that joke a few months ago, or like the last couple of years, because there's a lot of slider hate, and I understand like in these different parts of they're invasive everywhere, and thankfully, I even hear, I'm like, try not to, we see a lot of sliders, and you kind of get blind to seeing. And I made a joke, I'm like, dude, they could have the cure for cancer and we don't know it, but we're throwing them aside like, oh, it's just another slider, like I don't want to see another slider. And I mean, they're obviously incredibly adaptable and have done a lot across the world. And I think it was actually in one of y'all's other podcasts where you said it could be just like this misnomer that they negatively impact other populations, and now at this point we're seeing sliders all over the place alongside a lot of the other native turtles. Kind of like we have more to like look into it before you say that they're bad, or naming something that they're bad without. Didn't you say that like one of the last podcasts, Michael? Or am I
no, that's definitely how I feel. I for the past like 2 years, I've been studying Western pond turtles where they co-occur with red-eared sliders. And most people don't know we have native turtles in California to begin with, but the few people that do kind of have this assumption that, oh, the sliders must be bad. But realistically, when you think about how niches work and how when you're introducing an animal, it's not necessarily going to have negative consequences. We can assume that maybe something that wasn't in that environment to begin with is going to affect it in a different way. And I think that's a valid assumption. But to make the assumption that it's just automatically bad, at least my research, and you realize actually doing this, how complex it is to measure if there's a negative effect. At least in my research, we essentially showed that sliders and pond turtles are very infrequently seen together. They mostly are kind of in different areas. And it seems like, based on the patterns we saw, that there's more of an impact from habitat alteration than the non-native turtles. They kind of just they separate. And I think there's room. There's so much of a generalist. The pond turtles a little bit less than the sliders, that they can kind of, I guess, mold their niche a bit to fit and kind of work with each other. Now, there's certain loose ends in my work that obviously, maybe not loose end, but there's more questions to be asked. And to say 100%, we don't know. We don't know how they're interacting in terms of their diets. But it doesn't seem like they transmit diseases to each other, and they're mostly kind of separate from each other. So it's kind of interesting. I think that the assumption it's bad is maybe not the best thing to jump to, that there's going to be impacts from a non-native that's introduced. I think that's valid to assume, but you need to actually go and quantify that. So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that's kind of keeps getting passed down of the notion of this redder slider, slider hate passed down that keeps, happening. Because we here in Texas, and I think y'all might even have these Mediterranean geckos. They're kind of like the almost clear, really pink. I know they're probably in Georgia. Hemodactylus, yeah. And those are invasive. They've been here since the 70s. They've been in Texas since the 70s. They came in apparently through Florida, or who knows, and they fill a niche that isn't really competing with anything else. And I see them all over my backyard and the porch lights in the summer, and they just exist. But there doesn't seem to be any negative impact to the native stuff. They just showed up, and now they're here, and I've seen them, my whole life. And just an example of an invasive that's not necessarily doesn't appear to be bad that we know of at this point, So, yeah, very
there's
cool.
a
All right.
big distinction between something that's non-native and something that's invasive, and that's something we have to be very careful of when we're taking into account, assigning these terms to animals, because whether we call something invasive is going to be, very impactful on, pet ownership, the pet trade, stuff like that. Even in some very niche circumstances, an invasive species can help out a native species. I'm talking about very specific events like Asian gobies. They actually helped recover the Lake Erie water snake populations that was almost becoming extinct. Yeah,
that Erie water snake, really love those gobies. There was a Ray Wilderness episode a few months ago on that. It was excellent. Yeah. Anyway, what's this?
Everything has to be taken into account into very specific circumstances. We just have to make sure we're not making any broad assumptions. Once something new is here, that's automatically going to be something devastating to our turtle populations.
Right on. Let's see this collider shell, and we'll have to measure it.
I was just about to bring that up.
Yeah, I could not find it. Hopefully My parents did not throw it away. I do have. I'm gonna do a screen share though. I have a photo of it. It is very big.
That would be a huge loss if you lost that.
Yeah. Let me see.
I'll have to come
If I
down
could-
there and have a talk with people.
I do have this skull though. It's
Oh, cool.
Right.
yeah.
I didn't know you had
It came
that.
from a it came from a shell that also had a hole in it. So I imagine it was also shot. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
See, it's very porous. Yeah. Jack, how big do you think this turtle would be? Judging
How
by
long is
shell?
the skull, roughly?
I don't know. It's about this big compared to my hand.
Would you
though.
say like 5-6 inches?
Yeah. That's a good
So if
assumption.
it's between 5 and 6 inches, it could be like it could be one. That's a really big turtle. So probably like somewhere between like a 14 and 18-inch turtle. Like more like probably more around 16, 17 inches. But I mean you could be looking at a 40 plus pound animal. Like, so that's a big one.
Yeah. So, all right, are you guys seeing the tab now? I think I pulled up the photo of the shell.
I think one of the biggest Calidra skulls I've seen was this one at Pritchard's. God, I think it was like the skull was like 7 inches or more, and I think the shell was like 19 inches. Like there was a couple huge Calidra in Pritchard's collection. Well, there was pretty much everything in the world in his collection. So if you could think it was pretty much there.
Jack, did you see all the old pictures from when Carl was down there?
I think I did. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's I actually was there before I met anybody here. That I went there like three years ago, and I met when Pritchard was still alive, and it was really cool to go in his living room and just and well to see the stuff that he like some of the specimens and things he has are just like that was one of the most exciting days of my life, just being able to see all that stuff and just meeting everybody there was such an awesome environment. And I mean the Galapagos tortoise poster, you can't really see it up on my wall. That's from him. Like it was him who gave me that, and I framed that and will cherish that for the rest of my life. But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, it was actually right after that. I didn't think anybody else my age had done that. I just thought I was kind of the only one. And I started. I mean, I knew who Michael was, but I didn't know he was my age or anything, and because I just saw his content on Instagram, and we would like talk back and forth occasionally. But then we were talking about like I don't know, like megacephaly or Duncan Island tortoises in Galapagos, some like relatively obscure topic. And he's like, "Wait a second, are you the same age as me?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I gotta be honest. Then we just started meeting up not long after that, and it's pretty much that's how it's been.
I wouldn't typically suggest people start meeting up with people they meet online, but this is
Right.
Yeah, that gets
you got to play that one by ear, I guess. So Viviana, I'm curious about your work with box turtles. So I know that that's one of the things that I think you said, like box turtles kind of got you interested in turtles overall, and sort of what kind of research. And I know that you guys were out in the field recently with some box turtle work. If you could talk about that a little.
Yeah, so there's a lovely grad student up at University of North Texas, and she did her master's thesis on some radio telemetry for box turtles. This little environmental learning area that they also wanted to kick off like a Head Start program for box turtles, and kind of got in this. So 4 years ago-ish now, Carl and I helped out with like the guidance of like, this is kind of what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and kind of had some meetings with that group over there. And then, like I said, a grad student came in and did her master's. I think she's wrapping it up. And so we've been tagging along with her. I don't think, I can't, speak for her, that she was going to continue on in a PhD sense. So if that's the case, then I definitely want to keep it going. I definitely want to keep any radio telemetry that's on turtles right now, with a group of volunteers to go out and keep radio tracking and understanding, anything there is, because there's always going to be something to be discovered and whatnot. So hopefully we'll keep that going. That's kind of been it, is just radio telemetry of box turtles. I've been out there a couple times, and that's it. I haven't heard a whole lot from them lately, but the spring's about to pick up and things about to start get rolling again and all that. So we'll see. Hopefully that continues, and we absolutely want to help out wherever we can on that kind of stuff. But yeah, three-toed box turtles are still like my favorites, like one of my favorites, just from childhood to now. And as I think y'all know, if y'all have Carl's other book on box turtles,
I do.
he's done a lot of box turtle, wrote a book on box turtle stuff that I know. I think I talked to Jack about that, like ready to add more stuff just because more stuff's constantly finding out. I've got all kinds of pictures now. We've got all kinds of information on stuff that we've discovered in the last few years and whatnot. So, and I never saw your screen share of this giant Calydra.
Yeah, I
Get it going.
let me see if I can get it to work.
While Jack gets the book out.
Yeah.
Oh, I was getting these.
Oh, cool.
This is a big female Florida box turtle, mummified, and
That's so cool.
this is an Eastern box.
Yeah.
But the East, I have most of what I have are Eastern box turtles, and I have a couple live ones too. But I actually have a lot. All my turtles are either outside broodmating or they're in the basement. And, but the Eastern box turtles have been like a big part of my life, and there's they were probably the first turtles I encountered on my own like this, because my old house was like in the where this was like we play in the backyard, and there were box turtles that just lived there. Like if you dug through the leaf litter or looked under the deck in the right, we'd get lucky and find one every once in a while, and that was probably cool. the first turtles I would play with. And I think I saw mud turtles and snappers not long after that, but the box turtles were definitely some of the most enamoring ones.
Oh yeah, I had more ornates as a kid, which is crazy. And then now I have only like 2 ornates and a bunch of wayward three-toed box turtles and captive bred three-toads that, just have babies. And so I've been taking care of those, and I give those over to good homes, whoever wants, totally captive, just need a home three-toed box turtles. They're super, super.
I don't keep much, but I have a few ornate box turtles.
Yeah, I remember you had some ornates and maybe a three-toed or 2 and a few.
Yeah, three-toed as well. Yep. They're fun. They're really. It's nice to go and just sit there and kind of watch them interact in their environment every once in a while. But they're really interesting. I mean, they're beautiful animals when you wash them off, and the colors and sort of the yellows and reds and blues.
Yeah,
the Easterns are amazing. I have one that lives completely outside, and he's broodmating right now. But he's like, the personality is amazing. Like he'll follow me around. Like I can pick him up and put him out in the yard, and he'll just follow me around. And anytime, like if I move in front of him, he's just completely focused on it. And he'll eat. There's nothing he won't eat. Like I'll feed him fruits and vegetables. Anything that moves, he'll viciously kill. And I've seen him try and kill toads and things and that get in the enclosure. And I once went in there and found him eating the carcass of a mouse or something. I don't know.
Have you thrown him a dead squirrel yet? Throw him a roadkill squirrel?
Actually, this is kind of weird, but I once brought home a dead red-bellied cooter that that's actually the big female shell on the wall. It was pretty much like a dead turtle when I found it, and it was all stinking and rotten. So I left it out in the backyard, and just because I was like, the only thing, the skull was gone. I only need to get the shell, so I don't need to be really good with this. I just need to let it sit outside. And some of the flesh was like mummified and rotten. I'm like, you know what? I'll just throw this in with the box turtles. They'll probably love this. And he was going to town on it. So
they love that stuff. Yeah. I mean, Carl's taken in his book, he's got like roadkill possums. If you find a fresh roadkill squirrel, Joseph, he found one day, and I was like, throw it in there, watch. And they went to town on.
I think I've seen that picture.
Yeah, he posted that picture, and I was like, he had no idea it was gonna like kind of blow up on Instagram. And I was like, dang,
that's cool.
But yeah, they go to town on that stuff. Ready, Ken?
They're amazing turtles. The Easterns are amazing. Like you never see 2 that look exactly the same either. Like
Ken, do you have this photo? Sorry, Jay.
We keep getting.
Yeah, I sent the photo to Michael because I got some permission issues on my browser.
Michael has the power.
Yeah, we'll screen share.
Okay.
Michael has the authority.
You said
also, I feel like it's a bit late to ask this, but does anyone know why Jason left?
Yeah.
Or do you have to?
Yeah, he's got class at 12, so
yeah, it's 12. I gotta check with my family real quick, but I should be good. Yeah, I'll just be right back. I gotta check something.
All right, we will start to kind of once I get Ken. Can you send it again? Because I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing it.
Yep. Let's see.
We'll start to wrap things up here. I think we're really good, and then we'll do our trivia game at the end, and we should be good. But I want to see this photo now. I'm curious. I'm sure I've seen this, but I'm
Oh yeah. Okay.
not coming to mind.
All right, we should be good.
All right, a little bit of live action there.
Yee, live action. Remember that?
I remember that. I remember
God,
that.
yeah.
Oh, that was wild. Looking back on that, it's like, ooh.
I know. The stuff. I wish. I don't know. I mean, I would rather watch the videos of you guys with the turtles, and the Coyote Peterson's videos he did with you were pretty good.
Yeah, I'm glad the content he puts out now is really good. It's been really exciting watching the
There's
stuff.
been some
in
good
recent
stuff.
years. Versus his earlier stuff, which
Yeah.
you know, he even said, he's like, I don't do, like, things have changed, you know.
Yeah.
I don't do that old stuff anymore, which is cool.
His snapper videos were really good. Like that, like the camera work and everything is really good with that. Like it really gets a lot of. I mean, there's millions of people watch that, so that really provides a huge platform for people to get into animals.
I really like the series he just did with a bunch of younger, young folks, younger girls and boys, I guess in the 10, 11 range, of where he takes them wherever and they go looking for him. Like, that was a really good series. So that's been awesome. I think hopefully he's supposed to come back down. We talked about him coming back down. I don't know if this year or next year to look for more stuff, but we'll see. He's been pretty busy.
There was some other reason I was trying to get in contact with him. I'll have to talk about that later. Oh, geez, there it is.
That is
Wow,
so
look at
there
cool.
That is an imposing photo.
So
I feel
measure
like
that. Measure that, and Carl will see if it's how big he has compared to other museum collections.
Yeah, hopefully I still have it. if
Look
my
at your
parents
face.
would throw it away, I'm gonna have to have
That's
a
a face
stern
of
talk
pride.
with them.
That is so dang cool. And you just found it, or was it kind of like yucky at that point?
It was pretty gross. Yeah, I had to clean it up real good. Some of the scoots fell off.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, you notice, like, you see there's like depression going down the center. That's quite common with really big male snapping turtles. Once they get really huge, their shells start to deform like that.
They warp in such weird directions. It's
I've
crazy.
seen plenty of funny, from flared to pear-shaped to with that dip. And of course, obviously, I see, we all see lots of captive ones on social media, just like really poorly cared for. And it's like, ooh. But, there are all kinds of funky shell stuff going on there.
I saw this one wild Kaiju. It looked like it looked saddlebacked, like some of the Galapagos tortoises. So like their shells warp in so many crazy directions, and some of them get real narrow. And there's old videos and pictures on my Instagram. I haven't seen. I saw this turtle once last summer, but at this one private. It's like this lake near me that has a small footbridge, and there's hundreds of turtles. The vast majority of them are sliders people dumped in there, but there's also a lot of red-bellied cooters, painted turtles. There's common musk turtles. There's mud turtles in there too, and they're all the turtles in there are fairly abundant. And of course, there's snappers. And I'll sit out there at night and watch from the bridge, and you can see like 6 or 7 snappers come up, and I've watched them fight each other. And this one male, I call him Quasimodo because he's got horrible kyphosis.
Have you posted that before? I feel like
I posted about a year ago. Because
Okay.
I couldn't find him this year. Like, I found other males. Like, I found a giant one in there that was, the carapace was over 17 inches. But, and that one was old. But I kept trying to get a hold of him again. I'm like, I need to get more pictures of this. And maybe there was something I could do with it. Because it's bad. It's like his carapace.
Yeah, you might be able to publish it. Carl published on a Kyphic Versa this last couple herp reviews. Not this last one, but I think one before this past year.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, maybe I could do something with this if
I...
And
catch you, measure it, let us know. I'll help you. We'll help you, whatever you need or whatever.
Yeah.
What I always do is
I could find it.
What?
If I get a hold of him again. What?
What?
Sorry, Ken. I thought you were saying something.
Oh no, I just said I'll be sure to measure it as long as I could find it and it's still here.
Yeah, measure it. We'll see. And like I said, we'll have Carl compare against what he has data on and stuff, and that'd be cool.
Yeah, sounds good.
I think
Jack, everything.
the carapace length, I measured him like I had a rough measurement. He's a good sized male. His carapace is about 13 inches, but it should be another 2 inches longer because of how that's roughly because his spine curves. And just watching how he moves and interacts with his environment is interesting compared to the other snappers because he's far less aggressive. He doesn't seem to have the same striking range with his mouth and
Imagine like that.
yeah, when
You
he
know?
when he swims, his buoyancy is off center, so his back end sticks kind of out of the water, and
Huh.
like when he's at the surface, when he's on the bottom, you don't really see that, but there's a huge lump on the top of his carapace, like I think it's probably the second or third
vertebral.
vertebral scoot,
That's
yeah,
how second.
and it's so worn, like that lump on the top of his carapace is smooth. It's like looks like tortoiseshell because that part is always rubbing up against logs and everything,
right.
and he's one of the most easygoing snappers. Like he doesn't have a lot of aggression, and I don't think he can be as aggressive because I don't think his strike
Right.
range and musculature must be screwed up from his deformity.
Absolutely.
But he managed to survive to adulthood, and I've watched him. Like I've watched, there's other males in there that are really aggressive and will attack any other turtles that come near him, but he doesn't care. Like he'll fight back against the other big males, which just I like
Wow.
watching that individual like interactions between the snappers. It's very animated.
That's cool. Find
It's
her off.
crazy that it made it. I mean, there's lots of turtles seem to make it with that condition. It's not. I mean, it certainly seems like it would be something that would hinder them to some extent, but in terms of the buoyancy issues, but it seems like they can deal with it sometimes. It's kind of interesting.
I think it would make an impact. With one more quick thing, I think it makes an impact if it's a male or a female, because the male doesn't have to worry about developing eggs or anything. As long as he can deliver the sperm, he'll be fine. But if a female is deformed to a certain point where it inhibits her ability to lay eggs, that could be life threatening or that could be fatal.
You know, Carl and I talked about this just the other day about, God, what was it? A female something still laying eggs. And I don't know if it was him or somebody else about like a female with one leg still managing to like dig a nest.
Yeah, I've actually
I don't know.
wondered that.
Because you've seen turtles missing both back legs, like female turtles missing both back legs.
Yeah.
Because he has also published where he found a Versa, a female Texas Mac going to lay, and a raccoon, like he saw the raccoon grab it and do this, you know, like twist the leg off, like right in front of him, like across the bank. And he has that picture of that female, like with her leg just, because that's why you see when their legs are like, because that's how they go with the raccoons, twist the shell like that. But I think somebody was telling me they've seen him still lay eggs with one, you know, life finds a way type thing always. So that would be interesting.
The kyphosis in terms of it would make more sense, yeah, if males do a little better with it. But also for some species, like where there's a huge size dimorphism, like I've seen pictures of map turtles, they're mating and they don't even really need to brace themselves on the back of the shell. They're kind of just hanging off the back.
Yeah.
So in a situation like that, maybe not. But yeah, I mean, that makes sense for them. Like tortoises, I could see that being a huge issue. You can't really mount successfully, so you're not going to spread that.
Yeah.
Genetics.
Yeah. I guess I've got one more question. I don't know if anyone else has questions.
I got one more, but you go first.
All right. Well, I was curious. So we talk a lot about freshwater turtles and tortoises, but I was curious about some of the sea turtle work you guys do, and that's something that's really interesting because it's so well rounded. Or yeah, I don't know. I've heard you guys are involved with that, but I don't know if that's ongoing or what.
We don't have any like real involvement with sea turtle anything. I've always been a freshwater tortoise person my whole life, and it's not against. I'm so far away. We're so far away from 7-8 hours ish from water, from like seaside, beachside, any of that. So it's very foreign to me and even to Carl. Sal, our secretary, he's gone and helped out with the Ridleys stuff, the nesting patrol, the covering stuff down there with Donna, the famous Donna Shaver, and all the sea turtle South Padre stuff. So that's Sal. He's gotten to see. I've gotten to see all the ones that we had. There were some cold stun ones that came to North Texas that were being held at an aquarium here near us, and we got to go see those because we're friends with one of the head lead aquarist here, here in North Texas at one of the aquariums here, and so we got to see those. But I haven't done any we don't have any official Texas turtley, sea turtley things going on. I still got to go and just watch them and see in the wild myself. Carl's done it. He's been to them in Latin America, so he's definitely one you can talk sea turtle stuff with. But
We'll have to ask.
It's never been my thing. I think just because I'm so far away from water. The best thing that I just recently hit, and even Carl, is the diamondback terrapin stuff. Like we don't, the other university that we're friends with. There you go.
I got both.
Yeah, the dime, going to see helping her out, and the salt marsh and that habitat is just so foreign for me, y'all. Like I'm definitely three-toed box turtle woods type person. Like that's who I was if I was a turtle. But it was really, really neat. I think, Jack, I showed you the malocclusion for the megacephaly on those females. I mean, those females are just incredible. That blew me away as a top moment of turtleness in my life because I didn't expect it. We see tons of diamondback terrapin pictures on social media, and it's kind of like this trendy thing that we see all over the place. But it's nothing like seeing them in real life with this megacephaly or that malocclusion that we published on last year. It's something else. So that's been one of the coolest things as far as anything brackish, saltwater, marine, as close as I'm going to get for marine stuff.
Well, it does seem like alligator snappers and common snappers are becoming very close to becoming sea turtles in the next thousands of years or so.
Oh, yeah.
There's been ASTs found on the beach in brackish
yeah,
water.
Yeah, I've heard.
So
I see them. They're actually one of the most frequent places they're caught is Apalachicola Bay.
Yeah,
that's in the Florida Panhandle. But I mean, I see numerous iNet photos of where they're catching them on. The people are fishing on barrier islands and they catch alligator turtles, and big males are found out in the ocean or on the beach.
Yeah.
And it's like, what in the world are they doing out there? And some of them appear healthy, and they even have barnacles and stuff on them. So are they being on oysters, or what? Are they like pretending to be loggerhead sea turtles or something? Like
they identify as a loggerhead sea turtle. They got to change it up every once in a while, like all of us.
I gotta change. Got to
go to the summer. Got to go to the summer beach for the summer. Get a change of pace. Who knows? And, anyways,
that's an interesting topic, though.
One more thing with the terrapins is that head size that you see is not. That's almost exclusive to the Littoralis / Pileata. Like they are the ones that get the gigantic heads like that.
Oh, okay.
And you never like the ones I find up by me. See, these are northerns, the shells I have. Like the Carapace doesn't look too different, but these guys' heads are not remarkable really at all. Like up here, it's almost more. It's more like sliders. Like most of what you really only see massive heads like that on. You'll see some of the ornates have heads big like that too, but once you get past the panhandle, like once you get past the peninsula part of Florida, like the East Coast. You never really see really big heads on ones there.
That's fascinating. Like it was definitely crazy for me. That definitely blew me away.
I'd love to see one like that because we got a terrapin skull here.
Y'all want to plan a summer or whenever? We've done it. Oh my gosh.
Now, see, this is the skull to this shell, and if you noticed, it's not that large. The skull isn't that big at all. And it's a pretty dense skull, and it's got good plates for crushing. I bet that most of what you hear, they're small periwinkle snails, which for whatever reason they don't develop large heads at all. And like you see, Barber's map turtles eat essentially the same thing, and their heads are huge. So it's really just it's weird to tell it's just a weird phenomena. But
we saw tons of periwinkle snails when we were out walking through all that too.
When I read this report published by Texas, I don't know if it was the DNR or whatever, and it was like 200 pages, and they detailed like the diets or what they like from examining the feces of female terrapins, and they found a lot of snails, but they also found 2 species of mussels, which I never see in the diet up here. So that I think is why their heads are so big down there, is they're feeding on some kind of thicker, tougher to crush mollusk.
Yeah. Pretty.
Yeah, there's a lot to be learned about Texas Diamondbacks. At this point, it seems like they're all kind of, at least to the Florida Panhandle, they're consistent, like remarkably similar genetically. There's like no difference, so it's great. Like I think it was 100 kilometers. There was essentially no difference in kind of allele frequencies, which is kind of an interesting thing. You wouldn't expect to see like a almost identical match. but it just shows that they have a lot of dispersal capabilities, which makes sense. So I think that we're at the point where we might want to jump into the little game we play, and just to get some trivia going here. So I don't know how we want to do this. If we want to, so Jason had to go early, but we could. So last time we've traditionally done this as like a spin the wheel thing, but I think that maybe the best way to do this is Viviana, you can ask us questions and then we can ask you, and we'll do 5 each, maybe, if that works.
Okay, I got 3. I'll think of maybe
okay.
I'll think of something else.
Maybe we'll give like 2 minutes because we have to think some questions, and then we'll come back together. I'll put some music back on here.
The Jeopardy music.
Yes.
We should write the questions in the chat. So like
yeah, I agree.
So we all have access to them.
Let's see.
There we go.
That work?
Yeah. Oh, Jack, you don't have to ask him on here. Jack is just we have like a podcast thing that we talk on. So just for all of us to coordinate.
Am I going to put my first question in the chat to y'all?
Oh no! If you just want to write them down, you can ask them. You can put them in the chat too. But we were just going to talk to each other on here, so we like know what all of us.
Okay.
I figure after like 2 minutes, we'll just come back together and we can ask them in person, just so people can hear.
Yeah, that's it.
You like that one?
That answer was in the.
I know. Yeah.
I know that was in the same report I was talking about.
Yep. People will understand in a second. Ken, you got to come up with something good here.
Trying to come up with something.
Okay, I got 2, so we need 3 more, boys. We can pick the best ones. Everyone's intently focused right now. This is. All right, I think we're right at about time. Okay.
We want to just go with 3.
No, Jack, you got to come up with. You can come up with 2. These don't need to be that complex. Jack's like trying to get some killer questions here.
No, it might not. I honestly don't really.
Feel free to go hard on us too. We had 2 Australian guys last time, and they didn't go easy, but we did okay. So. Ken's got a good one. That's good.
Yeah, I was going to say something along those lines, but not at this point.
He's on the spot. Look, Jack, you made Viviana left. Oh no.
Yeah, she's left. I'm done with this.
Did you send something? Oh, there you go.
Want me to call
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good. All right, you want to come up with one more quick? Just do an easy one, something.
Yeah.
Somebody come up with something.
I got it.
All right, he's got it. All right, we got 5. We were just a little bit slow this time. Viviana beat us to it by about 4 minutes.
I guess we'll each ask the questions that we wrote too.
That's
Viviana's gone. Oh, she's back.
all right. Okay, yeah, there you go. That's a good one. Okay. All right. So we're good. Should I keep the music on in the background?
I think it would be best if if that is interfering. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so we've got ours, but we will. Well, guests should decide. Do you want to get a question first, or do you want to ask a question first?
I think your audio.
I think
cut
you're
out.
muted right now.
Yeah.
I sure did. Okay. Yeah, let's do it back and forth. I'll go and throw me one and I'll start. We'll just do back and forth, I guess.
Okay, sounds good. Who wants to go? You want me to go first because I have my first ones?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first question that we have is, so this is kind of a weird one, but you'll see where this goes. So what species of turtle have sea turtles been reported to eat in the U.S.?
Species of turtle. As far as cannibalism?
No, not cannibalism. This one it's kind of tough, but if you think about like habitat wise,
Like graptomes? Diamondback terrapins?
yeah,
Like-
there you go. I'll give
okay.
it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ridleys and loggerheads. It was in the same report of the.
Dude, I don't dabble much at all in sea turtles.
This one
Like, at
report
all.
gave me like half my knowledge on terrapins.
It's a dirty question.
Yeah, it is.
I'm like, no. So yeah.
It's weird, but it makes sense. Like I was asking that question for a while. I was like, I wonder if loggerhead sea turtles and like Ridleys, like the Duraphagus sea turtles, I'm like, because macrokellies regularly feed on musk turtles and cooters. I'm like, it would make sense for the sea turtles that live in the same habitat as the terrapins to do that. And lo and behold, it's actually really common. Like in their stomachs, like anytime that they opened up the stomach of a loggerhead or a Ridley in the salt marsh, they found terrapin bones in the stomach. So
That's cool.
that's pretty cool to me.
Cool. That tells you how much I paid attention to sea turtles. Like,
Good. That's,
All right, time for us.
okay. On that note, cousin taxa to diamondback terrapins. Easy. I know y'all know this.
Wait,
Just
what
don't
was
know.
the question?
The cousin taxa to the diamondback terrapin.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Japanese?
There you
There
go.
you go.
Alrighty.
Got it. Oh, it's all in the same. It's kind of gonna all mesh together. Okay, y'all go.
I
got
got it. This one's not. I'll go if it's this.
All right, here we go. Okay, Jack's up.
Which of the 3 American softshell turtles reaches the largest body size?
Ferox.
Yep. By far, they get massive.
Yeah, Ferox.
I remember I saw one.
That was a good one.
Gatorland has one of the biggest ones. It's like
That's
the Carapace Length's like 26 inches, and it was like 75 pounds. Like
What's the record? Like 96 pounds and
96 pounds
inches?
and almost not just shy of 30 inches. That's the size of like a Asian soft shell. That's.
I was gonna say there's been some Chinese soft shells that popped up here, like in the Houston area, that I've seen like reported, just when
Big ones.
people like go into the market and releasing them. I've seen
Oh
that.
man.
I've heard of that too. Okay.
Yeah,
my turn.
I'm not foreign to that to introduce turtles.
No, okay.
California.
As far as big. Okay.
Yeah, big. All right.
Oh yeah, didn't you guys find a Chinese soft shell?
No, it wasn't us. It was another Texas guy that does a
Oh,
lot
I
of
see. Yeah.
work. Yeah. I haven't found a Chinese, no, but it was another friend and local
Yeah.
turtle nerd to Houston.
All right.
Okay.
Time for your.
My turn.
Yep.
from this, I'll say average number because there's like two, like blank and blank number of supermarginals on ASTs.
Oh,
Like,
crap. I should know this.
there's like, on average, you see this, but it could be this on what we see the most. Blank
That's
and
a
blank.
good question.
It's like blank to, it should be like blank to blank number of supermarginals on ASTs.
I know that the
I've got an
supermarginals
idea in my head, yeah.
are
but-
like they're greatly reduced on the Apalachicola drainage. Like the ones from there have greatly reduced supermarginals, but I can't remember
Oh,
the number.
I'm thinking
So,
of like
Size.
Western.
Oh yeah,
Western.
I'm trying to think.
So just
I've got an idea in my
That was
head,
a-
but I'm not my upper limit. I'm not sure.
This probably isn't right, but is it 4 or 5?
I see 3 to 4. Yeah, I was
Oh, okay,
thinking
I wasn't
3
far
to
off.
4. You're right on 4 because the majority of them we see 3, and then we have seen some with 4 so far. So yeah,
Oh yeah, I think it's like 2 with the Apalachicolas. Like it's
yeah.
it's
I was like,
low.
I should also clarify because I was not thinking Apalachicola. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm thinking my guy is here that I see.
I was thinking 3 to 5, so I was
Yeah.
in that range. Yeah.
You're probably exactly.
All right,
Sorry.
our turn. So this one's another one. This is a true or false question, I guess. So have bog turtles been found in California?
Oh, I have no idea. If they're released pets. Oh my god, that's like so far.
I
Like
don't even know that one.
it had to be a released pet or a released like something. Is that the one that was like a confiscation that someone went and busted somebody's house over, or is that was the Northeast? Unless it was like a confiscation or like a released bog turtle in California. But you did say bog turtle, right?
Yeah, bog turtle.
Ah, if it was a released confiscation. So yes.
Yeah, there you go. There's one report I know of at the UC Davis Arboretum. They
Oh,
were
how
doing these surveys for pond turtles in the early 2000s. Actually, this was like the late 1990s, and they were trapping the water, and they pulled out 12 species and pulled out a bog turtle that someone had stolen from Zoo Atlanta in 1995, and somehow it made its way all the way over to UC Davis, and 3 years later they pulled it out, and they could ID it based on the markings it had. So, yep, that question typically throws people off. So that was.
I knew if it is, it's like one of them
Yeah.
said it was a dumped or confiscated. That's neat.
Yeah, it's a weird piece of information.
That's neat.
All
Yeah,
right,
that's
here we go.
a good one. That's a good. Oh, can y'all see me? I froze up a little bit.
It's a little frozen, but we can hear you. There we go.
Okay, you can use. I'll let y'all cheat or like look it up if you need clarification. Blank number or blank species / taxa of North American box turtles.
Oh,
Okay, so-
okay. We can figure this one
I was
out.
gonna say. So you got the.
Just taxa.
Do you mean?
Yeah,
Does that
okay.
you mean like subspecies and everything? Like just. All right.
Like North America only.
You're not include. You mean all of them? Like all terrapene?
Yeah. Let's go with that because some people say
Alright.
like this is or isn't.
So we got.
There's one of them that is no longer considered
That's
a taxa anymore.
that's what I was saying. You can or cannot.
Okay. That's
Like
better.
let's throw it in there for giggles.
All right, fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Got my cheat sheet.
This might be off, but so with
Don't guess
terrapene.
yet. I'm counting. We can count this one. It's
Just count them
easy.
out loud, yeah. Because I'm like,
Yeah,
I got
I
one.
was about to list off the species. There's terrapene Carolina, and then you have so it's the three-toed eastern Gulf Coast,
Florida.
yeah, and then you have the Yucatan and Mexican box turtles. But aren't those now going to be considered terrapene mexicana subspecies? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But then you have the terrapene, the ornate box turtle also includes the desert box.
That's the one that I was thinking though. That's controversial. The
This is
Yeah.
controversial, yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
throw
Then
it
you
in.
have terrapene Nelsoni, which has the Nelsoni and Nelsoni clawberi,
Perfect.
and then you have Terrapene Coahuila, and
That's it.
I got them all.
Yeah,
All right.
that's awesome. Yeah.
There's my.
There you go.
I looked over and I saw.
Oh, that's so cool. Those are all the images from the book, right?
Yeah, this was like
That
Carl
book
gave
had some good.
and I had it framed. So yeah, so I was like, I looked over and I saw this sitting here. I'm like, I'm gonna use this. Yeah,
All
some
right.
people still count the desert box turtle. Okay, that's all I got.
All right.
Go for
It's
it.
time for. We got 2 more here.
Ken, you want to go?
Jack.
Yeah, sure. So
Ken's got a good one.
why don't you explain to our listeners
I
what are
don't-
the morphological differences between Texas alligator snapping turtles and those from like the Apalachicola or Swaniensis drainages?
I don't have much of an idea other than like the caudal notches, head shape.
Mhm.
There's a cranial difference, and some of the plastron has like an extra scoot on the plastron of some of them for the Swanny. But yeah, that's all I got. Let me think. Obviously, river
That's
drainage.
fair.
That's all I got.
I mean, hey, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why it's
I've seen
controversial.
0 Swanny, 0 Apalachicola, but tons of Teminkia.
I've not seen any Teminka, but I've seen both Apalachicola and Swaniensis. So
See? Exactly.
the Swannies are I think when it comes to coloration, the Swannies are the most distinctive. Like they have they're like the most consistently like golden yellow. Like it's
called
it's pretty
flavism.
crazy. What?
Flavism?
Oh yeah, it's
Ours
nice.
get ours have flavism too, but I know what you mean by they just look all yellow.
Yeah, it's very consistent with the Swannies. It might have to do with just a smaller population. I mean, there's some westerns that are like full size males and they're all gray or all brown, and then you get some of the Swannies where their whole carapace is golden and their heads are completely golden.
And they're
I mean, you see
smaller.
that- Yeah, a lot of the times, but I honestly think that has to do more with the sample size because they get because there's I mean the area of occupancy with the westerns is like 20 times bigger than
If
the
there's
area.
1,100 turtles in a section of that river, it's just we've got barely an idea.
And we've only actually taken data from 200 of them, so that's it. So we've already caught ones over 120 pounds. So there could be some in there. I mean, there was one. The one at Pritchard's was huge, but for a while that was the biggest macrokellies known. But
All right, so Viviana, your turn to quiz us here.
Okay, I got the last one I got is Handbook of Turtles by blank.
Oh, that's easy. Archie Carr.
I like
That's all
that.
I got.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank.
Yeah,
Handbook
that-
of Turtles by blank.
That's
And that's it.
Archie Carr, though. That's he's the father, I think, of kind of turtle biology and freshwater turtles at least, and sea turtles. Kind of interesting.
Right.
I think we got one more.
Okay, Jack's got one more.
I don't know. It's kind of a stupid one to ask, but yeah. So wait, how many did you ask us?
I had like 4.
I think it was 4 and 4. I wasn't keeping track.
Oh no, this would be 5 for us. So do we even need to ask it? Or
That's fine. Just go for it.
I was gonna say, how many diamondback terrapin subspecies are currently recognized?
I hate them. Like, 7? 7 or 8?
I think
It's
it's
like
6.
Okay, I'm good.
No, I think 7 should be right.
Wait a second. You got hold on. I can't get my
There's
I
terrapin,
think it's 7.
Terrapin,
Viola, Mangrove.
terrapin, Literalis pileata, Rhizoforum, Tequesta, and I'm missing one. So yeah, it's 6. I'm missing the. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 6. You got the Carolina, Northern, Florida, East Coast, Mangrove.
Okay, I'm going down the coast. So
Panhandle.
Terrapin,
It is
Centrata.
7. It's 7. However,
Centrata, Tequesta.
you're right. It's 7.
Region Ferrarum. What the hell? What's the
Yeah, 7.
Pileata, Literalis.
Macrospilota.
Yeah, Macrospilota,
Macrospilota,
Literalis pileata. Yeah, it's 7. Yeah.
Again, a species that I've seen once so far.
No,
that
I
matters.
got my own question
That
wrong
was a
because
good.
I,
That was a good guess. I think.
I'm so used to counting.
Well, I had an idea.
Yeah,
like,
no,
was
I didn't.
not
Yeah,
on
I
the
didn't really
coast,
guess.
but
You
you know how there's
clearly
always
knew.
stuff that's split and
You
merged
got it.
over.
I mean,
So.
I was so used to. I always think of Pileata and Littoralis as the same thing because they are. They're genetically and morphologically identical. So,
and that's why I said
was-
7, 8 because I wasn't sure if I was.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and at this point in time, it's. I think that's a valid question, but the whole idea of subspecies terrapin is being kind of revamped to management units because, like, a lot of the genetics, like they've looked at sort of population genetic level differences, and there's very little structuring at all between a lot of what is currently recognized. It's sort of just local variations. They're not like taxonomic. Warranting taxonomic kind of adjustment, I think. So it's a good question, but maybe even like historically, I think on here we have to support the more recent kind of more thorough work that's looking at the genetic aspect of things and the morphological aspect and looking at it more as different units to conserve versus subspecies. That's a
just
pretty
like the box turtle stuff. Like there's desert, there isn't. A lot of people still consider desert, a thing. And then is it Terrapene Carolina triangulus or is it Terrapene Mexicana triangulus? Like I said, I'm happy with three-toed box turtles being Mexicana because I love them. I texted Carl because Carl's asking me if I'm done. And this is what he wrote back, which I don't know, but this is, straight out of Carl brain. He says, how many publications are there regarding the biology of southern painted turtles in Texas?
What in the world?
Yeah, that's that
southern painted turtles in
bothering me.
Texas.
Which I think is 0.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe nothing. That's because
that's a big one on our watch list. Is like going out and seeing southern painted turtles because we've got some spots that we've been watching and going and photographing and stuff like that. So that's one that we really excited about. And then he said, "Why is Coney a subspecies?" Which he and I talk about that all the time. What organization was the first to specifically promote conservation, ecology, and natural history of turtles from the Lone Star State?
That's a tough one. That historically, I have in terms of conservation in Texas. Conservation in general, or
what organization was the first specifically to promote conservation, ecology, and natural history of turtles from the Lone Star State?
Oh, Texas Turtles.
That's a Carl Franklin.
That's fair.
And then he wrote, how much do Texas Turtles t-shirts cost?
Oh gosh, now we're getting well.
He's using a platform to promote his merchandise.
And then, which are on our website. And then this last one that Carl sent, which we've talked about. What is the record for a wild AST in Texas?
There you go.
There.
Record size? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. What is the record for the
211 pounds. I could remember that. Like that's that number is repeated in my head over and over again all the time.
Yeah, 211. That's what he's referring to, the one that was just caught last year. So, anyways, that's all.
I can't wait for that to be published.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. And I guess the last thing is, in terms of Jack, you said you had a question or.
No, that was about terrapins a while back. We're good with that.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess the last thing is just future projects. You mentioned working with Coyote Peterson, but kind of in the immediate future, what are you guys sort of excited to do? And
this year is going to be more Snapperpalooza, more of the AST work, the Kegels Map Turtle, the Kegels Texas Map Turtle stuff down there. Maybe, hopefully, some Texas tortoises that we've been talking about coming down the pipeline with private landowner. What else? And a lot of publications. I think I briefly mentioned the Southeastern Naturalist AST issue that's coming out this year. Check that out because we got some awesome publications in there. And that's been a lot of what we worked on the beginning part of this year is that those papers.
I know a lot of people working on that Southeastern.
It's from us all the way to Florida.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people that are working on that, and that's going to be big when it comes out because I've heard all kinds of very interesting things that that that's never really been said with alligator snapping turtles, and a lot of new data and research is being compiled into that. So that's going to be it's supposed to be one of the next big breakthroughs, kind of like the 2014 papers from Thomas and all that. So I'm excited for what that comes out.
It's going to be interesting to see.
Did a lot of that this past few months, weeks. us here in the library working all that stuff. So that's been a huge chunk of our time while it's cold, and turtles are slow moving. So that's the kind of kickoff for 2022 for us. But things change like that, and we might be gone tomorrow doing something else happening. So, but that's kind
awesome.
of our stuff. We want to do more with southern painted turtles. We want to do more with smooth soft shell turtles. There's so much, like we've talked about, the low hanging fruit of stuff going on here in Texas. And y'all want to come down for a summer? We have take a week and go do turtling. I can take we take it all over the place,
Awesome.
see all kinds of stuff. I mean, I think one of the people that we've taken around the state, like 18 species, like we can see a lot in a short amount of time.
Wow.
And we've got a pattern down of like how to travel the state and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I might have time, like this summer, I might end up with a lot of time to do stuff. I'm not sure yet, but if there is, then that would be great to go down there. Because I was technically in Texas back in October, but that's because I flew out when I was flying back from California, I stopped at Dallas, Fort Worth, and just to come back. So that's the extent of my Texas experience.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take a week off end of May from work to do a bunch more turtling. So we're always ready to go. We're always ready to roll on the road.
That's awesome. It's awesome to get you on here, Viviana, and to talk about Texas turtles. I think it's the work that you and Carl and everyone that's involved with Texas turtles does is really, it's incredible how much you guys have accomplished, but also sort of the diversity of things that you look at, and you're not really kind of bound by a lot of the issues that institutions face, but you guys, I think, actually drive a lot of what institutions are asking, and you guys are so connected with so many people that your impact is going to be far beyond what just a few people in working at a school or whatever can do. So it's just incredible, and you guys can really focus on what matters. So it's honestly, it's, I think, an amazing way to do it, and it's amazing that you guys just had a vision for it and kind of took off. So thanks for coming on. It's been awesome talking.
Thank you. It's been really crazy seeing, like I said, looking back at the pictures from when you were little first coming out here to like how everything is now, right? Like it's pretty crazy everything that we've all done in the last few years. And I know y'all are got so much time ahead of you. And I'm sure people tell y'all all the time, like you got so much time ahead of y'all and so much that y'all are doing and going to get accomplished. And y'all are very lucky kiddos to me. And I know you're not kiddos, but from my view, kind of like some of that kiddo stuff. But yeah, thank you. It's been cool. I love what y'all are doing, of course. Come to Texas anytime. The library is always open. It's been cool. It's been a trip. It's been a really, really, really good time. Really, really blown away by everything, like you said, that we've done as an organization, kicking off in the past 2 years, really hitting the ground running, and everything. Like I never thought, like I said, so many times as a little kid, thinking you're the only one and that no one else is out there like you, and here we are finding people from both ends of the country and all over the world that you've talked to already that are interested in turtles like we are. So thanks, guys. I took a picture for like the Instagram later. So I'll tag all y'all on the little thing. Cheese. There you go.
It was great. Actually, it was great talking to you after like knowing you online for a while.
Yeah, call me anytime. I'm old, so I like
fun.
talking on the phone still too. It's easier. It's sometimes easier than text.
It is. It is.
I will tell Ken, like it's hard for me to like. I'm always worried about how you come across over text, because we've all had run-ins with people where you don't know if they're like.
Yeah, plenty of the times.
Like, are they? And it's I do a lot of voice texts to people on Instagram, so they understand how I'm saying it. And it's not. I'm not trying to be like, well, let me tell you, young kid, like that feeling of you just don't know how people come across. So call me anytime. That kind of stuff it might be easier.
All right, I'm gonna stop recording, but we'll all be still on here. But thank you, and
thanks.